figured you'd talk about it.
Yay!
Sure. When I
Just asking about your book.
I love it, Deanna. Thank you.
That's so
it.
pretty.
Love it.
I know the author of that book. Mm-hmm, I do. She's my friend.
Yay, I love it.
Maggie, so you tell me what you're gonna say.
So the cue to go close is, I was thinking like, you gotta have friends, but making them and keeping them, both can be hard, both for kids and parents.
And all right, we're gonna do a standby, and we're gonna hear some music. Tell me if you don't hear the music.
You can turn up your
I
volume
hear it, but
as
it's kind of
well.
low. Yeah, how do I do that?
There's a switch, a toggle, volume control thing.
Okay.
Turn it up. We're much louder than the music,
Okay.
but
And we literally look at you when we're.
we just look at each other like a normal conversation.
Oh,
Just
okay.
don't let your mouth turn away from the mic.
Okay.
Because that could be a normal tendency, but then like this.
Got it.
So position the mic so that when you turn to speak to us, you're in a great position because you're already kind of facing us.
Yeah. How long has this been going on? The
This is
podcast?
only like episode 5, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. We started in November. Mid-November, I want to say.
And it's on Apple, Spotify.
Everything.
Oh.
And you can also watch it on WFLAnow.com or
Mm.
YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
So
there you
you
go.
can watch it.
On YouTube.
What did you guys do for your holidays? While we wait.
Kept it low key.
Went to
Low key
Orlando.
this year. Mm-hmm.
Did you go to the Gaylord Palms thing?
No, but I wanted to go to Disney Springs, but I chickened myself out because I was just so worried about the crowds. And my
Oh,
family isn't
God.
really a Disney family, so it's like I was forcing them. I'm like, okay, do I really want to go with people who are going to be like, why are we here? How long is it? So I'm like, let's just go to your parents' house.
Yeah.
Scratch it.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
What's at Disney Springs? Do they have something going on?
They had like pictures with Santa, stuff like that. I was trying to create memories.
I'm sure they had plenty of like live entertainment.
Right.
too on New Year's
I thought it'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Next year.
Yeah. Same.
I didn't know it was gonna be so cold until last night when I was cold.
Man, I went out to go to the gym this morning and I
Ooh.
ran back inside to
Mhm.
get my big fluffy coat.
It was freezing
That
this
big
morning.
New York coat.
Mhm.
That was like dusty. I'm like, you're coming out.
Dusty.
The one day a year, you get to rock the boots and the
fur. The
yeah.
fur.
Let's go there.
So yesterday was the first, and I wanted to make sure I got some type of exercise in.
Yes.
So like at 9 o'clock, I just like, hey, I'm going on a 3-mile walk.
3 miles.
And my husband was like, I have to come with you. You can't. I was just gonna loop my house, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to get it in because it's the first.
Did you do it? Will you do it on the second? Is the pressure?
Right.
You know, I saw somebody post the other day, and they
So
said
true.
that they use January as an incubator,
Uh-huh.
like to reflect and all that, and then the newness starts on February.
February.
And I was
That's
like,
just a way of procrastinating.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's
for me.
So innovative.
Today I saw somebody say that they don't start till Monday, so technically they're
Yeah.
starting on January
Oh,
6th.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those are all excuses because you don't really want to.
Right.
That's why I just start when I feel the need to change something,
Yeah.
whether it's March 18th
Yeah. That's
January
good.
1st.
or October 27th. When I feel the need for change,
Seconds.
that's when we go. Because really, the date isn't going to make it happen.
Really, exactly.
Okay, so there's an open, and then we start. Let's see the open. It's cute.
5,
I think you're in it.
4,
Okay.
Maybe.
2, 1. Open.
We know we gotta have friends, like the song says, but making them and keeping them can be challenging for kids and parents. But don't worry, we are gonna navigate it together today, and we have the perfect ladies to do that with. Danielle Baynard Jackson is here. She's a friendship coach. I'm so excited to talk to a friendship coach.
I'm so glad to be here. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
And she is an author as well. Fighting for Our Friendships is the name of her debut book. I say debut book because I want more. Okay? Fighting for Our Friendships. How has the tour gone for that?
It's been incredible. It's been so great to travel and hear women's personal stories of friendship and reconciliation. So, like, what a gift to be able to do this.
Well, what a gift to us to have you here. Thank you. Danielle is a mother of 2. We have Kiva Williams. She is a mother of 3. She is the Fun Foodie Mama on Instagram. She also founded Mahogany Kids, which I love the concept of bringing the arts to all children. And we have Diana Moore. I've been saying it like that lately. Like you're Italian or something. Diana Moore.
Oh, it's like love.
Right? Diana Amore. is here.
Spaghetti.
I love it.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, children.
Yes, this
Thank
is
you
our
for being here,
our
ladies.
first Maggie and the Moms of 2025.
Oh, and it's very colorful. What I
Ah, yes. Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yep.
Yes. Well, it's a good thing. You ladies are here because I love this topic of. I think it's a resolution that we were talking earlier, Danielle, doesn't get made enough. You resolve in the new year to lose weight. You resolve in the new year to get healthy, maybe to work harder, but nobody thinks about friendship resolutions.
Mhm.
What does that look like in your opinion, Danielle, and why should we consider that?
Okay, well, I love that we're having this conversation because one statistic that tends to anchor this for me is the longest running study on happiness is from Harvard. They followed people for more than 80 years trying to figure out what makes us happy. And they looked at all these things and they found that the number one thing that determines how satisfied you are with your life and how healthy you are in your body is the quality of the relationships. But if we look at the list of resolutions we form, for many of us, we don't have any relational resolutions on there. But that's more likely to impact your longevity. And so I love that we're having these conversations, and the resolutions can look like a bunch of different things. At the Women's Relational Health Institute, they've identified 5 domains of your relational health, and that's your mindset around friendship, your ability to form new friendships, that's connection. Momentum is about deepening. Then there's conflict, and then renewal, so releasing friendships. So you can have a resolution in any of those domains. It doesn't just have to be about making new friends.
I like that. And there's no question that friendship has so many benefits. And we see it in our children, right? When life is going good, when their social connections are firing, they're happier, they're healthier, they're just better. But it can be a difficult skill for us as adults to manage, and for kids even more so. So I'd like to talk about how we can help our kids to make friends. Kiva, is that something that you're intentional about? Do you help them, or do you just like let them figure it out?
Well, that's a good question because I'm struggling with that myself, like as an adult, because friendships come and go, right? Of course, you want to hold on to ones that you've had for a long time, but you also want to explore new ones. So sometimes putting yourself out there can be hard, but you want to model something that you're trying to teach your child. So I say, because I have 3 kids and they have each other like they're siblings, but they're different age groups, so making friends is something that they enjoy doing, and I help them facilitate it. Like when they want to go to the playground and my daughter wants to go up to the little girl, I'll encourage her. Sometimes she's a little bit shy, but I'm like, hey, go over there, tell her your name, show her your doll. So I think encouraging it is good.
I think that you mentioned what I think is the hardest thing about making friends. The most important thing when you're making friends, but it can also be the hardest both for adults and children, is putting yourself out there, because you're risking rejection. What if they don't like me? What if this doesn't work? I'm so comfortable here in my bed. I'm not gonna go outside and ride my bike, and So how do we encourage our kids to put themselves out there?
I think if we can help them find the value of just trying, and for a lot of my clients and for my kids, we try to talk about how rejection is inevitable. That way we're not wondering, what if, and I'm also not giving them false hope. Oh, they're gonna like you. They're gonna love it. They're gonna wanna play with you. They might not. But so much of life is about how you metabolize rejection. So we're gonna look at your resilience. Some people are gonna be your friend, some people aren't, but that doesn't mean you're any less funny or lovable. That people get to choose. So helping them build that muscle up front, I think will help in the long run.
I think when my kids were growing up, something very important for me was putting them in situations that would enable them to make friends. So I would throw them in everything. I would sign them up for everything. Dance class, you're going. That art workshop, you're doing it. Little League baseball, I hate baseball, I don't care. You know, I was that mom, and they thank me for it because that's where they made, not just in school. In school, they were so busy. Of course, they have their school friends. But they were so busy that they sometimes didn't take away the kinds of deep friendships, or maybe enough of them, that I wanted them to. So in these other extracurriculars, I found that they found their longest lasting friends. And so I think as a parent, that's the number one advice that I would give is
I stress quality.
put your kids in stuff.
I stress quality over quantity.
What do you mean by that?
Because I think there's this big thing of we need to tell our kids to make friends, but then sometimes some of these kids aren't great for our kids. You
Oh,
know?
for sure.
So rather than trying to be friends with all the kids and put yourself out there just to get a bunch of rejection, because sometimes come on, kids are mean.
Yeah.
Kids can be so mean, and I don't know what it is about girls. Maybe I'm stereotyping here, but girls seem to gravitate towards the mean girls. The queen bee head honcho dictates in the classroom who gets all of the friends and who has to be friends with certain people. So when my girls come home and they're down because some queen bee doesn't like them, you don't have to be friends with her.
No.
Be friends with the person who shares your likes and does things with you and is kind to you, rather than trying to be friends with everybody.
I couldn't agree more. I think you only need one or two good friends. I don't think it's about quantity either. And I think what you mentioned is something so important too, is, Mom, but what does a friend look like? Like, how do I know what a good friend is? I know how I define it, but how would you guys define it for your children and for yourselves?
Yeah, I know people have different like lists of characteristics. I always say, like, in a technical standpoint, like from doing this work, is, you know, it's a person who we are familiar with one another, because a lot of times there's these parasocial relationships where I feel like I know this person like on social media or something, but they don't know you exist. Like, it's a one way.
Yeah.
So we both have knowledge of each other. There's mutual contribution and mutual affection, which sounds obvious, but like, do I like you and do you like me? It sounds so simple, but I'm sure we've all had friendships where you're like, does she even really like me?
Yes.
Or do I even really like her, but I need somebody to hang out with? So do you really like them? And I think even having your kids define it is important, because it helps to coach them through being able to discern it for themselves. So you don't need mama to give you approval. You told me that you want girls who reach out to you too. You told me you like when they're funny. I don't know. Do you think she's funny? Is she nice? So helping them kind of measure it against the standards we've talked about helps them to see it's not mom telling you you can't be friends with that girl, but you told me you don't want to be friends with girls who
I love
gossip.
that.
You told me that. You know, so I found that to be helpful.
I agree.
That can be hard though, because my daughter is 6, and I remember going to the playground with her when she was like 3 or 4, and she wanted to be friends with people so bad, right? So I'm observing her, and the kids are kind of being mean to her, and I'm like, hey, you don't have to be their friend. Like, I'm trying to tell her that I know you want to play with them, but sometimes if they're, like you said, treating you a certain way, you're not obligated to be their friends. And it's hard for her to learn. She's only 6, so she's still kind of navigating that. But watching your child trying to play with people, and then sometimes they may or may not, they want to play with her, but they're like bossing her around, you know? And I'm like, okay, you know, hey, like, I don't want to jump in too much, but I want to remind her that you have options.
Here's the thing. I think it's our job as parents to teach our kids how to do things. They're not just going to know. And I do think that includes friendship. I think that, you know, maybe if in that scenario your kid is being rejected at the playground, you as the mom sit back and watch and say, is my kid doing something that maybe I could tell them, hey, I noticed that you weren't sharing, you were hogging the slide, you were being super bossy and annoying and not letting that girl speak. Because I think that's our job as parents, because I don't know, do you agree?
So what do you do when they're at school when you don't see all of their behavior? Because we only get, when they start school, we only get 70% of them. We don't know all the things that they do.
That's why when they're with you, that's all you can do.
Right.
You know, you watch them when they're with you and say, I noticed this about your behavior. And then also, I think, say, what makes a good friend? You want a good friend, right? Are you being a good friend? And just have those constant conversations. You were nodding like crazy, Danielle.
Oh my God.
Applauding too.
I was like slow clapping. Yeah, that's such a great point about, like, they're at school, you don't really see it, because I have said to my husband, like, when we take the kids to the park, or how you said having them in extracurriculars, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't notice I didn't notice Elijah does that. I didn't know, because I don't see it. I'm like, man, he's so strong with his sister, but he's kind of passive, babe. Like it, so it helps me to see and to be able to coach him through, hey, you speak up for yourself. Or hey, you know, Elijah, they get to have a say in the game. You are not the boss in the game. You know, so those social skills, to your point, I do think it's our job because we have the context of relationships. You know, I love you and I want the best for you. And I'm telling you lovingly, you're doing too much. And people might not like that. And you know, and that way they're aware.
And if you don't tell them, they're not going to know.
Yeah.
They're not going to know why they're being rejected. They're not going to know that that's not a good way to be or act in life and work, in relationships.
Well, I learned something from the segments we do with Danielle about not putting all of your friendship eggs in one basket. And we learned that as adults when we're trying to make friends as adults. And we talked about having mom friends, and we talked about having your go out to drink friends, or your friends you've known for 20 years and you haven't talked in 10, but it's like you know, when you pick up the phone, it's like you just talked yesterday. I think kids need to start learning that too.
Yes.
Because I have, you know, my daughter has her volleyball friends, and my daughter has her 3rd grade friends who at 4th grade, they're not really friends anymore because they don't see each other every day. But that's okay, because even in that year, they grow apart. They find new friends. And one of my daughters is very much concerned that, well, this friend is not friends with me anymore because we're not in the same class, we don't see each other every day, and now she has all these new friends. And, well, we can try to see them outside of class, but if it doesn't happen, realize we have other friends that we can make. Is that a bad thing to say to her, Danielle? Friendship coach?
No, I think that's great, because I think it starts to train kids from the beginning that that friendships evolve and stretch, so that they're not so immobilized or disheartened when it shifts. So I think preparing them for, oh yeah, sometimes you guys are gonna be really close, or maybe she made a new friend. I know sometimes that's hard, especially for girls. You know, it's like, oh, wait a second, we're besties. So coaching them through, you guys are still friends too, but, you know, maybe this is a wake-up call to, like, have a new friend, or your band friend, or your Girl Scouts friend. So training them that there's so much that's available to you in your friendship landscape, I think will make them less disheartened when they lose someone or when a relationship shifts.
Yes. And also, I think that you have to, and Kiva, you mentioned this, model it. If they see that, you know, when you go through something with a friend, Mom, you used to be so close with blank, and now you're not really.
Right. They do notice that.
How you handle the situation, they're watching everything that you do.
Yeah.
So if you're modeling a healthy friendship breakup, because I'm tapping into my Danielle knowledge as well, then they're going to learn that from you. So everything that you do, how you model, you know, the way you have a friend, the way you are a friend, the way you leave a friend, they're going to pick up on just by watching you. I think that's another important point.
But can you share a little bit about, you said you put your kids in all this extracurricular activities, right? I've done that too. I'm the mom that's like dragging them everywhere. But my oldest is more of an introvert. And when I take his phone away, like, hey, I'm dropping you off at XYZ to socialize, engage. You can't bring your phone. I feel like he still doesn't want to engage. So it's like, this new age, these kids, they rely so much on communicating through their phones, but you want them to interact and you can't get them to come around. So just give me a little bit of advice on how you're navigating your older kids with not relying on your phone, but just question. In person, like just say hi, just introduce yourself, please.